The 2023 track and field season officially got underway last week with the South African National Championships in Potchefstrrom, where local athletes battled it out for national supremacy in various events. Headlining the meeting was the 400-meter event that saw the return of world record holder Wayde van Niekerk, while Akani Simbine and Karine Horn blazed the 100-meter track as they retained their national titles in sprint event. Werner Prinsloo, coach of Simbine and Horn, could not be more pleased to see his athletes perform at the standard, especially with the world champions in Budapest coming up this year. He joins us now to talk about that. Werner, good evening, and thank you so much for coming through.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me.
And what a way to set the 2023 season alight. Simbine continuing his dominance in the sprint race at the Nationals. You must be pleased, and especially because he's injury-free.
Yeah, exactly. It was a good start to the season for us with the SAs, both of them taking the 100-meter titles again. You go to the SA champs or any champs to try and place and win, and that's exactly what they did. With Akani's times, that's the sort of times that we can expect from him, this time around, this time of the season and going forward. So we're in a good space at the moment.
He was visibly beaming with confidence even before the heats. I mean, what seems to be working for him that you might have observed even at training? Is he putting behind him the 2022 season and focusing on the future?
Yeah, exactly. We, after each season, after each year, we have a discussion and set out the goals for the next season. And one of the things we said was that we need to get out there and run fast times from the get-go, because once you get that sort of speed and that pace in your legs, you can take it into the season. And also when we heard that the SA champs would be at Potch, we knew that would give us some good conditions for running fast times, because from 2017 when we had good SA champs there as well. Potch always gives us good conditions to run fast times.
There's always talk, Werner, about, peaking at the right time, peaking too early. Where would you place Akani at this point, considering it's relatively the beginning of the season?
Yeah, as I said, look, we know there's a long season ahead with the world champs only being in August. But we wanted to start the season, with good times. And then, take it from there, because once we've established that he has that kind of pace in his legs, we can actually build on that instead of building it up to the world champs. So that was the plan. He said that he was going to go out fast from the heats, and I think we can, like some of the earlier seasons we had, where he starts out running fast times, and he can actually take that through to the season. So we're building on those times. We've got some nice competitions coming up in Europe. So we're going to utilize those to get him ready for world champs.
Karine Horn also made a solid return to the scene last year after 2 years out. She retained a national title and seems to be focused on reclaiming that dominance that she once had in the sprints. You must be pleased also with how she's starting the season. Yeah,
as I said, we're very happy with the win. We went there to regain the titles again. In terms of the times, she wasn't too happy with the time that she did in the finals. But all that means is that now she needs a bit more track time, a couple of more races to get her in shape. But we're very confident that she'll get that qualification time as the season goes on.
And what would you say is her state of mind, considering that she is, one could argue, back on a comeback trail of sorts?
Yeah, she's always confident in her own abilities. Training is going well. We're coming off the back of her first real comeback season, which was last year, and it was surprisingly, she did surprisingly well last year. So she has the confidence. She's training well. her and Akani train well together. And as I said, it's just a matter of getting the right races at the right time. She needs a bit more track time to get into her, in her own shape. But as the season goes on, I think those times will drop definitely.
Both Carina and Akani are well traveled. They've competed in some of the best competitions in the world. Would you say that there's enough competition to push them and challenge them when they compete here at home?
Yeah, I think so. We've actually been sort of planning the season going forward. We have a list of all the competitions that are happening in Europe. So we can, and we're based in Europe for the summer. So we can, probably plan all the meets and competitions that she would need to get her ready for the World Champs. And we're just going to have to make sure that we get into the right competitions. Strong competition with other women that's, at the same level as she is.
And back to Akani, I mean, already clocking a good time for qualifying for the World Champs in Budapest. What does this qualification time mean, if anything, at this point?
Well, that was one of the sort of targets and goals that we set out, is to get the qualification at essays, because after this there aren't a lot of opportunities to get that qualification locally. So we said, let's get the qualification done early, and then it's behind us and we can just focus on the races ahead. And that's exactly what he's done.
And I can imagine it's something that Akani is relishing, going to Hungary, because that's where he clocked his personal best of 9.84 at the Hungarian Athletics Grand Prix way back in 2021.
Yeah, he's got this sort of strange love affair with Budapest because he ran both of his essay records in Budapest. And from where we are based in Italy, it's literally, a few hours away. It's literally in our backyard from Italy. So I think he'll use that opportunity, saying that it's basically our backyard and where he loves running. He always loves going to Budapest and run fast there. So he's definitely going to use that opportunity.
And the much-awaited Athletics Grand Prix series is getting underway next week. And as always, the Akani Simbine and Ferdinand Omanyala battle is one that everyone is waiting for. I know that Omanyala came out on top last year in the tie. How much does this battle push Simbine? And the fact that Omanyala was there watching in Poch?
Yeah, look, he's with Omanyala, they've got that sort of rivalry, the African rivalry going, and every opportunity that those guys get to run, it's always a good show to watch. But yeah, we'll just take whoever's in that lineup. Akani will definitely give his best. With the Grand Prix coming up, that's always good competition, and another showcase for our athletes.
And your thoughts, Werner, on the qualifying standards for the World Championships? I mean, are they tough or are they motivating enough for these athletes to put in faster times?
Yeah, look, they are getting tougher. We've seen especially the 100 and 200 meter times, men and women that have come down. And there's been a lot of talk around, if it is maybe too tough. But obviously the World Athletics have their own sort of ideas of where they want to take the sport. So there's really not much that we can do about it. We just have to try and get the qualification. Yes, it is a lot more difficult now because breaking 10, you have to basically break 10 seconds just to qualify. And, a couple of years ago, a sub 10 seconds is what you would have to do in a semi-final to get into the final of any event, like the Olympic Games or something. So now you basically have to be in the top 10 of the men's sprinting, going sub 10, just to qualify, which means that the criteria is becoming a lot more difficult for the men's athlete and the women, because it's for the women it's 11:06, and there's not a lot of women that can go under that at this point.
Werner, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you so much for taking time to speak to us. Appreciate your time. That's Werner Prinsloo, who coaches both Akani Simbine and Karine Horn, talking to us about their start to the season, which has been quite impressive, both winning their respective titles in the 100 meters. But of course, the athletics Grand Prix is happening, and that's where they will be tested even further. That's